Welcome to Psycho Clown's House of PIDs. Enough of that. Yeah, you can see I'm basically PID rich at this point. Although I actually need one more so that they can each have their own specific missions in life. Now, I had previously kind of made this video. Wasn't really happy with it. I was on the Discord server and in my short-term memory, was it Jerry? And sent him a C shooter, a kneeling plate assembly, and he's like, "I gotta learn to use this now." So I brought up PIDs because when you're kneeling, you kind of want to control your temperature, and this works well. Initially, I was making it because I was seeing lots of people on other people's channels, especially when PID thread would come up, being nervous, afraid to tackle this project, apprehensive, however you want to put it. And it's basically to go, don't be afraid of it. It's not that heavy. It's not that difficult. If I can do it, you can do it, kind of thing. Yeah, they'll end up long, so bear with me, and I'll try to hit all the points and maybe do a better job. Hopefully get it a little shorter, but I doubt it. All right, you can see I built 3 of these things so far. All the parts can be got on eBay or Amazon. Price shop, you can keep the price down to around $60. So, pre-built unit, $150. Bought these when prices were a little lower. I got about $50 or so into each of them. So, yeah. Sure, they're not as professional. Each one's a little different, but hey, I got 3 of them. Yeah. This was the first one. This one's the most unique. I know what I was doing. So mistakes were made, and along the line changes were dictated by things that had already been done. And then I use it for my toaster oven, which is convection, so the fan would pulse with the PID. So I had to run a separate lead for the fan and then split this outlet. So this one, once powered on, is constant, and this one is PID. So the fan is constant. Works so much better. This one's kind of a mess inside, because, well, yeah, things are weird places and stuff. Now, all these are built-in old computer power supplies. I just gutted them, used them for the housing. If you got some laying around, free housing. Cost cutting, step number 1. Now, I have seen people build these in shoeboxes. Now, if you're super frugal, I wouldn't recommend it, but it's an option, I guess. Things people do. All right, now this one, I built everything in the bottom here. Now, one mod I did to the top, these things, solid state relays have a LED. When there's powered on, it lights up. And I just found where it was, drilled a hole, did the whole piece of flip tape thing for a view window so I can see it. Other than that, I just use household outlets. You can get the 50-cent ones. You can go up to hospital grade. It depends how many pennies you want to pinch. What you think you need out of it. Now this one, I had raided the guts out of it before I thought about building this project. So I had raided the factory cord, the factory switch. I had to replace all this. So, probably off a power tool or something. I hardwired this one in. Let's use a EMT. And Now, what did I know? I've got the whole heat sink for the SSR and all that, and you don't need it. Penny pinching number 2. You'll save yourself $5 to $8, something like that. You do not need this, and then mounting it, need feet. You'll see. It's just nothing needed. And of course, then later on, I finally put a power switch in this one. I was just plugging it in, unplugging it. And I put the receptacle for the thermocouple into this one, which is optional, but it's nice. And this one, most commonly used for whatever reason is a MyPin TA4. This one has a TD4 in it. I guess there's minor differences. So people claim the auto-tune function isn't as good in the TD4. I don't know all the ins and outs, but it works, so that's all I care about. And that one runs my toaster up. Sure. Oh. Powder coat. Second one I built, a little different. Mistakes were still made. I covered up a lot of venting. I mounted that. I rated the power switch. I found one that fit right in there, but I hadn't removed the stock cord goes in. This is where the 110-220 selector switch goes. I filed that out and put the receptacle in there. It's very nice. You see the difference is I mounted the PID in the cover. Now when you cut these out, way out of frame. This has a thin bezel here to keep it from sliding through. So you want to cut your hole so it just slides and the main body just fits in. But I just left the long tails, and it's nice and clean in there. These are major overkill. These are 14 gauge wires, and you don't need anything that heavy for this. It's 2 for power to power this unit, and 2 for signal to the solid state relay. There's hardly any amperage. They just got to carry 110 volts. And this is to the thermocouple. For our needs, there are 6-volt wires that go to that unit. As you see, there's no heatsink. There is industrial strength Velcro. Yes. Yes, I Velcroed it in. And it works. It works beautifully. No problems. Household outlet. Nice thing about these cases is they have a ground point built into them. So, yeah, it's easy to ground things because you'll add the ground for the outlet to it. Remind me to, put wiring diagram in here because I finally found one that was, didn't have all kinds of crazy extra stuff like indicator lamps and fuses and all that superfluous stuff. Yeah, you probably noticed I'm living dangerously here. You know what circuit breakers are for? Yeah. No, I have not put fuses in any of these. But yeah, you can see there's a wiring diagram on the side. Now, just if your temperatures are reading like extremely low or just sit there and don't move, these thermocouples are polarity sensitive, and basically you got to reverse a lead somewhere and suddenly it'll work. That's the most common mistake, and I have definitely made it. But yeah. Yes. right, now here's my third iteration. Now this one, I'm waiting for one of those receptacles to show up from China. It's been like a month and a half. And so this one is hardwired in. I have lots of ventilation on this one. I have a piece of heat shrink in there to keep this from shorting out. I just haven't shrunk it. But yeah, it's optional. Let's see, like this one. You know, factory plug. These are 18 gauge, and even running Meltzilla over there. What's that? 1250, 1350 watts. It gets minorly warm, yeah, but nothing to really worry about. I hadn't rated this one, so it's already got the switch in it. So yeah, if you got one of these you don't need, it's already got a switch and the cord, you've just saved yourself several dollars. Once again, mounted in the cover. I have not blocked any vent holes in this one. This was my best attempt, though I did cover where the fan goes with the outlets. Yeah, I know it's ugly. It's laying around here. We're gonna give it new lease on life. Cover up some ugly with ugly. Actually, just covering up a big gaping hole so that junk doesn't get in. And if I had thought of doing this with these, I wouldn't have blocked so much. Difference is this one had the the wire fan protector. The screws hold on, and these have the stamped in ones. And if I would have thought, I would have gone zinged it right here and mounted my outlet right there. But I didn't think of it. So, now this is more what you need. Just these thin little wires. These are from this power supply. You know, the leads go out to your hard drive and motherboard. I just cut the lengths off, and yes, works great. Much more flexibility. So again, Velcro. I even left the power filtering in this one, and I haven't had a problem. Yeah, that's what I did. Just mounted, fits right in where the fan was. But that's the only venting that's been disturbed on this one. So, wire I had laying around. This is 14 gauge wire. You could use 14 gauge, 12 gauge. Got some household wire laying around. It's not going to be as flexible, but it's going to stay where you put it. You know, just yeah. This one's probably, I just left long loops in case I had to. Well, yeah, can't talk. You do anything, move things around, but I can shorten that right up. Yeah, pretty simple. Now this one's cut real nice, and these are the connectors these come with, and just snip those off and put these on. But yeah, hardwire it if you want, but if you're using the same one with different pots and stuff, that receptacle where you just plug them in and out makes it much easier. Or these things go bad and you got to replace them. It's easier to replace them if you've got the receptacle. Put a new one of these on. Buy them in bulk. Make them up in advance. It's good to have a stock of these. Those have gone up in price. They used to be a few bucks a piece. Now I see them around 10 bucks. I just bought, to keep the price down, I bought 10 of them for 50 bucks. But I got a stockpile. I got a few extra of these. I can make some up in advance. And, you know, be ready to go once I get this one in. What was I going to say? Oh, pricing. actually. eBay, Amazon, Price Shop. A lot of times you can get PID and the SSR together for around 35 bucks. I have seen them for less. I've seen them for more, but average is about 35 bucks. You can get the receptacle with one of these for 5 or 6 bucks. These have gone up, the thermocouples themselves. We'll just call them 10 bucks because I'm seeing them at that, and they used to be like $3.50 not too long ago. So we got 35, 40, 55 bucks there. Outlet, 50 cents to 6 bucks, depending on what you want to go with. If you need a power switch and fuses and something to put it in, chassis, that's gonna ramp your costs up a little bit, but even so, you shouldn't be over 75 bucks. And I've seen pre-built units go for around 150. I've seen them go 100, 150. So you're still saving some bucks. Depending on your skill level, they could come out really professional or, like mine. But anyway, yeah. It's not that difficult. And when you see this wiring diagram, you realize it's not that difficult. It's just being able to, break out your Dremel or whatever you use for a cutting tool, cut a spot for this, and outlets, whatever you're going to do. These work good and potentially free. I don't remember how many of these I bought. I might have bought a half dozen of them for like 6 bucks, just these pieces. The outlet, the receptacles for them just by themselves are 3-4 bucks. But, it's not that bad. As far as programming them, you can run the auto tune. It'll get you in the ballpark of what you need. I'm not great. I've just gotten lucky. Is what I say. Let's see. So what I'm using for my 420 pot right now. I was using it for salt bath annealing as well. And I just made labels with, the settings so that I could, just program in what I needed for what I was using it for. But let's see, lead. My PID, what's working for me is about 6.91 for the P. 124.5 for the I, and 31.12 for D. Now, hysteresis, I just read something about it kind of overrides everything. And instead of making it more of a hard start and stop, it's flows past, and I don't know what little I understood about it. It's like, well, kind of the temp creeps up like an oven. It overshoot and undershoot, and it just controls it that way. I was using it at 1.0, and I recently bumped it down to 0.5, and I think it's a little tighter. You want information on all that? Now, casters, you get some information that we don't need all the really tight temperature control and fancy things these will do for the most part. Some of it we could use, but we can get away without it. But the homebrew and the meat smoking communities, they make these things do just mysterious, wow, mind-blowing things. Very tight temperature control, alarms, and controlling different things. It's just mind-boggling. So, you want some ideas, go to their forums and prepare for your mind to be boggled. But you will get some useful information. Let's see what else, if anything else. Yeah, it's not that difficult. Like I said, if I can do it, you can do it. And don't be afraid of it. Just take your time and make sure things are wired correctly. If you know a wrench from a screwdriver, you should be okay. Little skill, you're a reloader, you got some basic skills. And you can do this. And yeah, it really helps, I think, to really know where your temps are. I use probe in some of my my molds, and knowing I'm getting right up to where this thing is gonna start casting beautifully, or I'm getting to where it's gonna be too hot and I can just set it down without consciously having to keep track of everything. That's kind of another thing, but yeah, hey, yeah. That's just using this, yeah. But yeah, some people have that natural ability or done it long enough to learn, how to recognize when temps are right and all that, and I just don't have it. So my crutches here do me well. I also think if you learn that and then try to back off and rely on it less, start to learn what this is saying and what it really looks like, what's happening. It could make things make sense. Because like this mold here, there's a certain temperature where all of a sudden it's beautiful. And then there's an upper end of that. Also, when it's sitting on a hot plate, I monitor it. I mean, just with a simple, it's a barbecue oven thing. But yeah, is it about where, or is it going to take a bit before it's going to start working? Knowing the temperatures, it helps me. I know a lot. And I've kind of gotten off the rails here, but, do you really expect anything different? Oh, boy. Yeah. Any tool at our disposal that helps us. I don't know any other way to really put that. It'll make more sense. All right. Don't be afraid of it. Do it. And you should be able to do it for $75 or under if you need to buy everything. Oh, yeah. That's something. Like these. Like the 420 pots. These 100 millimeter ones. Length. They're just a little longer than you need, but the next step down is 50. And it could be a little short. Just sticking it out, you can remove it. Or the little button ones like this. Well, like this. Or you could drill the bottom of the pot, mount it up in, which I've thought about doing that for my annealing pot. These are still pretty cheap. These are still only a few bucks a piece. You want at least the 700C or the 800C. They're labeled temperature centigrade. There's a 1250, but there's a 400 and it's not hot enough. And if it doesn't mention it in the listing, it's probably a 400. At least every time I contact seller when they didn't list it, they told me it was 400. So yeah, I can't remember the conversions in my head. I'll roll them in here for Fahrenheit, but you want it to hit, you know, over 1,000, you know, 1,100. I think the 700 is good. The 800 is a little better. You know, just that safety factor. But the 400 is just too low. So be aware of that when buying thermocouples. Oh, how crazy is this guy? 25 minutes. Yeah. 126, really quick. All right, well, I should wrap this up. Hope it helps someone. I'll leave you that. Have a good one. God bless. See ya.